And the FBI surveillance of the American Indian movement was largely ignored during the church hearings and investigations, which coincidentally took place the same year as the shootout in Oglala in the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in June of 1975. And this was at the height of the Reign of Terror, which you mentioned. So given what we know about the hostility towards Peltier and AIM by the FBI in the past, but also today with Ray's letter, what needs to be done in this particular moment, and what kinds of investigations and inquiries would you like to see?
Probably one of the reasons perhaps why the infiltration and disruption, the COINTELPRO activities directed on American Indian movement, maybe one of the reasons why the church, there might be more than one, but one of the reasons why the church committee ignored that might have been the shootings. So it was such an emotional, hot, politicians, no matter what, don't like to wade into any kind of hot button issue. So that might have been it. They knew the FBI would never, at that point in time, be able to see, again, very emotional at that time. So that might be a reason why it was kind of ignored. I know Frank Church himself was a target of the NSA, so he would have been more motivated for all of this surveillance during Vietnam that went crazy.
It was Project Minaret, right?
Yeah, the NSA had this project called Project Minaret. The FBI had its, COINTELPRO, and the CIA had one, I think the name was Chaos, just like in Get Smart. And not very little is known about Minaret and Chaos because they did not have a whistleblower type like William Sullivan. So William Sullivan ended up telling the church committee about some of these workings of COINTELPRO because he was at the table. I think he had Sullivan had a famous quote, something like, well, we all sat around the table coming up with these ideas, one of which was to encourage Martin Luther King to commit suicide, letter. We all had these ideas and sat around and no one said, is it right, is it wrong? Not a soul. Mm-hmm. A handful of these high-level people. So, but there was nobody who talked about Minaret. And so all to this day, it's still classified. Mm-hmm. Somehow, one little bit leaked out that showed that had 7 of the targets. There were many, many more targeted. And one of them was Senator Frank Church, whether he knew it or not. There was columnists, newspaper columnist, humorist Art Buchwald, Muhammad Ali, of course, which wouldn't be surprising because he was opposed to Vietnam. So he went, not surprising. A couple of editors, mainstream newspaper editors, and another senator. So when you know that these were the, again, if public knows that our national security agencies are actually spying on our own publishers, journalists, government officials, I mean, you can't have it. I mean, we can't. That's the rule of law completely breaking apart. So, I think the church committee was more. They had a lot to look at. That's the other thing. They had a lot, so they probably looked at some of the things that were nearest and dearest to them at the time. And I don't know why they didn't. Those would be my guesses as to why they more or less ignored the AIM. Now, if